Alright, hello everyone. So this is going to be talking about the banner, and it's actually pretty simple because this banner is just a massive W. Everything is really good. Ryoshu can be used in bleed or can be used by herself. For Solemn Lament, Gregor, it's one of the strongest egos for a single target damage that you can get as long as you can set it up correctly. It's way better than Wing Beat. In fact, is what Wing Beat could have been, but then they went too little. And then Solemn Lament is just Wing Beat, but then they turned it up to 11. So this ego is super strong and very synergistic with Linton Gregor as well. Then the last one is Yi Sang, who has a reload mechanic in a game where ammo is very scarce, which makes him super strong and very easy to play. So let's start off with Solemn Gregor. Solemn Gregor, you have +2 on every single coin once you update to 4, and you can reuse this coin up to 5 times as long as you remain at 0 plus SP, which means that you do need some sort of SP gain while you are shooting this eagle, which you can get from your Butler Faust on the bench. Butler Faust on the bench gives you SP per shot whenever you hit someone with sinking, and so if you just set up a sinking enemy and your Butler Faust gives you the passive, you'll be able to just pew and then boom, there you go, you have yourself a healing SP ego while you're shooting, and you will be able to just reuse this coin to the maximum and deal a bunch of damage. This ego hits super hard. It is a 24 high rolling ego if you roll all hits, and if you hit one target, all of that damage will cumulative. So that means that you will absolutely delete someone. Solemn Delete is so bad, it's crazy. And then after all of that SP loss, you go back by taking the number of coin tree hits times 3 SP. Well, you don't go all the way back, but you go somewhat of the way back. So it's really very nice for this ego, where you will be able to restore yourself to a decent amount of sanity so you can lament again if you want, or you can just go ahead and clash again and just win. So yeah, it's really very strong. And by the way, after you use Solemn Lament, you get the passive, which gives you 1 attack power as long as you have a negative effect. And if you are playing Linton Gregor, your passive will give you a fragility because your sanity went down and then up. So that means that you have a negative, which means you get coin attack power, which will compensate for the loss in your sanity over here. So yeah, this ego is just super synergistic with Linton Gregor, and Linton Gregor also attacks people that are clearly in panic or in ego corrosion, so you deal 15% more damage. For this one, it's just if you're fighting humans, then you just apply sinking and then eventually they panic. Ego corrosion is interesting because I'm thinking that this is like Pecutile only right now. But maybe in the future there will be some enemies who can transform and become corroded. I guess like Hindley. Hindley is one of the first corroded characters that we've faced before. Yeah. So that is pretty much Solemn Lament. It is super strong, and if you set it up properly, you can get some crazy damage. I think Ezgu got 863 damage on his setup. I got about 620 something, I think, on my setup, because I was just testing out the ego to see how much damage it would do without a proper setup, and well, turns out I get a crap ton of damage anyway. Even if it's not a proper setup, you can still get about 200-ish damage. If it's a somewhat there setup, you can get about 600-ish damage apparently, and then if you get a proper setup, you can get like Ezgu's number or even higher. I don't know how high you can go really, but it's a very ridiculous ego, and is basically Library of Ruina Solemn Lament copy pasted into Limbus Company. Very well done, honestly. The weakness, of course, is that if you target multiple enemies, this ego will fall off a lot, because you will only be able to nuke one target really hard, not really nuke 2 targets or 3 targets very hard. I tried it against a few AoE enemies and it just wasn't working out that well. Right. So now let's talk about the actual Solemn Lament ID, which is Yi Sang. Yi Sang has basically a very decent sinking count maintenance, because Clash Win +2, 2 coin, +1, 2. Then +3, 4. So it's -1, -1, and then +2. 0 here. Yep. So it's decent sinking count maintenance, and he will be also applying a unique sinking status, which I think will trigger your Echoes of the Manor. I haven't really double checked that, but it should. And it's just, yeah, you're gonna be triggering Echoes a lot, and you want to run Echoes with this character for sure. So this character, his reload is actually super strong, and his bullet management is super easy. While Rabbit starts with 13 bullets, this character starts with 20 bullets. You start with 10 white bullets and 10 black bullets. And then after that, whenever you reload, you will just get back a bunch of bullets, and when you get triple resonance and you kill someone, you will reload your gun. Super duper strong character because of the reload mechanic. Skill 1 only consumes 2 bullets, skill 2 consumes 6 bullets, and also gives you a reload if you can resonate with it, and skill 3 will give you a reload after you full mag dump with a 1, 6, and then a consume all over here. So how to play this character is essentially you want to kind of set up for a big butterfly turn, because at skill 3 at the bottom, inflict gloom damage equal to all butterflies on the target. How butterfly works is that you shoot the butterflies now, it will last until next turn, and then next turn you get to apply more butterflies onto the existing butterflies. So the light butterfly becomes the black butterfly, and then after that it will disappear forever. And then the next light butterfly becomes the black butterfly, and so on and so forth. So it's like a constant train of butterflies replacing the other until they die. So it is very, very strong, and you want to just stack up as much butterflies as possible. Skill 2 will be reload gun ability at when you're just trying to keep stacking your butterfly. So you do something like maybe a skill 2 into a skill 3, or you do a skill 2 or a reload into a skill 3, because you want to really get all of that bullet into your gun and then full mag dump it, because you get 4% more damage for every bullet that you shoot. So you try to have a full mag before you are about to dump your full mag here, and then this ability will give you a reload at the end here. So really, like, you will never really run out of bullets. Skill 2 will be your attacking reload, defense will be your passive reload, skill 3 will be a full mag dump into a reload, and then passive, when you kill someone, you also get a reload. So many sources of reloads, and the bullets not costing too much means that you can go about 4 turns and not run out of any bullets as long as you use skill 1, skill 1, skill 2, skill 2 or something like that. Yeah, you can have a lot of ammo, and the reloads are very, very common. Either kill or shoot skill 3, skill 2 with resonance, or defense. Like, there's so many options. So this character, super easy to maintain the bullets. I only failed once because I ran him in a non-syncing team, which was a bit problematic. Alright, and then that's really it about Yi Sang. It's just super, super strong. The butterfly passive itself is very, very good, and he also has very little like sinking minus. And yeah, it's so easy to play this character, and he's so strong. I think some arguments might be Spice Bush might be better because of sinking deluge, but in terms of clashing, this guy is just very comfortable. His clashing is very, very good. Don't have to think so much. And the gain, like the preparation to activate your skill 3 is actually very easy when you compare it to someone like Spice Bush, who needs to build up a bunch of tremor, then he can use a skill 3. So yeah, it's actually very, very easy for this character to be played compared to Spice Bush, and his status is very, very impactful for the entire sinking team, to the point that I would probably always run this character if I just wanted to play a little bit brain dead. Yep. So that's pretty much Yi Sang, very, very strong in combination with the Solemn Gregor. Actually, I forgot to mention the combo. Solemn Gregor, he applies the butterfly, right? That butterfly also lasts until next turn, which allows Yi Sang to do a skill 3 on that turn and deal gloom damage equal to all the butterflies that he just shot. So you get the Gregor damage from last turn, and you get the current damage from your own mag dump. So very, very strong stuff. Alright, so yeah, that's a combo, and ideally you want to get both Solemn Laments. Right. So now let's talk about the Red Eyes and Penitence Ryoshu. For this character here, pretty much she can be run in any team, but she prefers to be in a bleed team. Let me explain why. For the passive, right? Okay, so first off, I want to talk about charge count. Charge count team definitely works. I've tried. Ego Gears work, load works, as well as charge barriers work. All of them feed into this thing here. The limiter actually is her drawing her skill 3. She will gain so much of this, but she will not be able to use skill 3 because she doesn't have it in her hand. So actually charge count is not that great, but at least you have an option to feed her charge count in order to get her online. But let's talk about the actual real way of getting her online, which is Spider Head and Skull Face. So if you look at Skull Face, which is Penitence, it is one of the easier ways to get stacks of this weapon. Because as long as you are sane, 20 plus SP, you will gain 1 penitence per smack. It is really very easy to get. As long as you're sane, you get more. And when you get hit by an enemy, you also gain more. So that is really, really easy, especially if you look at your counter skill, where you gain 2 penitence, another +1 penitence, and because you're getting hit from this counter, you're also gaining the penitence here, and you're also slapping him back, and if you are sane, you also get another one here. So penitence super easy to get above 7, in my opinion. And then after that, it is Spider Hit, which is a bit harder because you need to hit bleeding targets in order to gain more red eyes. So that is a little bit problematic for her because she can only apply bleed on the second or the second coin here pretty much. And she even gains red eyes equal to the bleed divided by 2. So she needs at least 6 bleed on the target before she's able to get any of these benefits like the coin power as well as the additional red eyes buff. And skill 1 gives you 2 red eyes, skill 2 gives you 3 red eyes plus this bonus here, while defense skill gives you 3 if you are less than 7. So red eyes is one of the harder ones to get. All you need is bleed on the target. So I think that I would prefer to run her in the bleed team, but really all she needs is just a decent bleeder and someone that applies the bleed before her so that she can go and slap the target. Or maybe she one-sides attack the target with 6 bleed so that the guy does not lose the bleed. There's a lot of different ways to get past this 6+ bleed thing, but essentially I think she is meant to be thrown into a bleed team because her skill, her counter skill is going to be a lust skill. So I think that since you can force lust rest very easily in bleed, this is actually quite a solid option for a bleed team. But you can also throw into literally any team and it will still work because as long as she's applying this bleed here and hitting with the red eyes, she will still be getting stacks really, as long as you are able to play your turns correctly. Yep. Right, and then the last one is the most important one, Skullbuster. You should not use the basic form of this because you will have to wait very long until you get to the serious Skullbuster. Essentially, this character is a charged character. You use skill 1, skill 2 and your guard skill in order to build up penitence and red eyes. And then once you have built it up, you are now going to seriously bust the enemy. And you will consume all of your stacks on yourself. You can coin power +1 for every 5, base power +1 for every 5, giving you a whopping 8 coin power, 8, 16, 24, 24, 29, plus another 4 base power to 33. So this thing here hits like a truck, but look at this number over here. You get another 160% extra damage for every red eyes and penitence. And then look at this number over here. You deal red eyes divided by 2% more damage. You also deal penitence divided by 2% more damage. If the SP is lower, you do this. If the speed is faster, you do this. There's so many different buffs affecting this fucking weapon that, holy shit, this is just Earl King again, but for red eyes and penitence. It's super strong. It's just, oh my god. Like, you're gonna do so much damage with this skill tree. Always build up until the max as much as possible and then full unleash this ego attack onto an enemy. You will do so much. This also comes with a heal and 3 binds and 2 attack power down. It's just so good. So good. Right. So that's enough simping for the Red Mist. Pretty much she is really strong. Can be fit into any team, prefers bleed, but can be run no matter what. Right. So let's talk about some team comps that I've already come up with for this character. First of all, Ungabunga. Ungabunga, just throw in. Congrats, you can win the whole game now because she is just self-sufficient. Do you want to run W Ryoshu or her? I mean, up to you honestly, because they both pretty much are very strong IDs. This one has more slashing focus and this one is full blunt focus. So it's up to you which damage type you want, and this one is going to be mainly a lust damage dealer, and skill 2 is a pretty decent damage, but skill 1 is not that great. Counter is also not super amazing to do damage, but it's alright. Yep. So up to you, you can throw her here, or you can try her in the charge count team and then experience the same problems I had where she gains so much charge that she actually needs more skill trees to use, which I personally didn't like, so after testing, don't like. But I want to reiterate that you can buff her. Load buffs her. Multi-crack, when she kills, she gives charge barrier. Those charge barriers also buff her. And this guy's photo electricity also buffs her when she hits the guy with photo electricity. So all of it still works on her. She's basically a charge character, but she enjoys bleed. So that's why I also made a bleed comp. But bleed, like I said many times before, does not have bleed count source enough to make it a very viable status outside of Mirror Dungeon. We need Wound Clear It for so long because we don't have the Vampire or Bloodfiend Dawn ID that's coming out in the next canto. So right now, all I can cope with is something like Ring, followed by KK for the Ryoshu WoW Ego, Grippy, and then Ahab to help them do more skill 1 so they can apply more bleed and stuff. And then Ryoshu herself to enjoy the bleed. You can of course mix and match with others like Queequeg or Hooklu. You can go and mix and match, but pretty much this is my for fun bleed team where I'll just run in Mirror Dungeon. If you run in Refracted Railway, I'm unsure if this will actually work. So that one you can test and then let me know afterwards. The last one will be the sinking team. It's actually pretty easy to build the sinking team because it's just Earl King, the 2 Laments, the Butler, the Mola Boatworks, and I can slap in a Dichi Honglu. You can slap in a few other options such as the Dichi Rodion with Rhyme Shank. However, do note that Rodion, the Dichi version, is actually very bad at maintaining count because only her skill tree has +4 count and she will have to use Rhyme Shank the rest of the time. Rhyme Shank is very strong, of course, but Rhyme Shank cost is actually a problem for this team because it consumes 3 envy, which is the main problem here. If you corrode it to get the big value sinking count on the enemy, you actually don't have enough sinking count to apply. You have envy from Earl King, you have envy from Linton, and after testing a little bit, the ego, right, Solemn Lament, it also consumes 2 of the envy, so it's actually quite expensive to be trying to set up your Solemn Lament, in my opinion, if you want to do a corroded Rhyme Shank, especially since corroded will basically double the cost of your envy, which is very, very expensive. You will just -6 and then you have to wait really, really long for your characters here to just do their envy skills and get back the envy that you need. So that's why I dropped the Dichi Rodion for someone like Honglu, because Honglu at least is going to be positive or at least neutral on skill 3 as well as skill 1. Skill 2 is the worst, so you would dump that as much as possible, and has a pretty decent dodge skill as well, which yeah, I mean, this character is just a pretty okay sinking character and will not harm your sinking while also slapping for butterfly damage and so on and so forth. So we have positive sinking count, well, sometimes positive, but usually it's just echoes of the mana mainly. And this one is going to be sinking count management. This is sinking count management. This can be sinking count management or benefit from sinking, and this is going to be a big butterfly applier pretty much. And then Solemn Lament will always be here just so that you can find an opportunity to solemn someone to death or set up for a big Yi Sang butterfly skill tree. And then Butler is in the bench so that he can give sanity gains to people like Earl King or Linton. To be fair, it's a bit tricky here because with Earl King, right, he also has sometimes low sanity, so you need to make sure that he's higher sanity than Linton. So you need to make sure that this passive hits to him. So make sure they're both 45 SP, and then ask Linton to use his ego, and that should trigger the Butler Faust passive. So that's how you would be able to force this passive onto him. Otherwise, what happens is that Butler Faust will give this passive to the ally with the least SP, which will sometimes be Wild Hunt Heathcliff. So try not to nuke your SP before you're about to set up your big Solemn Lament ego. Yep. So this is pretty much my current sinking team. If you want to change it around, you don't want to do solemn stuff, you can just go to the Spice Push. Just go Spice Push and then just focus on stacking up more sinking and then just nuking them anyway. It's also fine. It doesn't really change too much about your strat, because in the end, this whole team here is just about maintaining sinking, maintain butterfly, keep slapping, and maintain the counts until the guy is dead. That's pretty much how you play this team. It's actually very easy once you have played a little bit of this team, because really, as long as you recognize how to maintain the count, you will be good to go, right? So that is all for all of the team comps I have. If you have your own team comps, you can feel free to let me know. Feel free to mention any other slots to throw in. Some of these characters in the background, these are just passives. You can swap you can swap whatever you want in and out. But someone like Hefe and LCCB are really, really nice to have, because you're always hitting low sanity targets and you are always shooting bullets with this guy. So you always get some value out of this. And then the rest are just stat bonuses, up to you. Alright, so that's really it for sinking and all the other Ryoshu stuff. This banner is just really, really good. Another summary is that this is basically a solo character, can do whatever she wants herself. She has her own self-healing, her own SP healing. She has very, very powerful attacks, and she's all about building up into that big skill tree just like every other charge character. And then we also have Gregor and Yi Sang, who both synergize super well with sinking, especially Solemn with Linton Gregor in particular, and they can both set up big butterflies for their entire team to benefit and do crazy amounts of gloom damage. Alright, so that's the summary. Up to you whether you want to pull it, and I wish you good luck on your pulls, because I took about 250 and I had to pity one of them, but I managed to get the other two in the 250 rolls. So yeah, hopefully you guys got some better luck than me. 250 is fine. It made like maybe a 20k-ish dent in my lunacy. Just need to farm a bit more for next time, I guess. It's fine. Alright, so that's it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.